The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
Hey, what up YouTube fam, it's Dupree aka Darth Hater here with some fresh brand new Star Wars news. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out my last video because it greatly helps out the channel. So let's get into it. So before we start today's video, I'd like to give a great happy birthday to the creator George Lucas, who turns 80 today. It's kind of funny that this video goes hand in hand with that. Happy birthday, George. So The Acolyte has promised to be different from any other Star Wars story that has come before it. And showrunner Leslie Headland recently confirmed that means moving away from one of George Lucas's central ideas about the Force. As more details about The Acolyte are confirmed, it is becoming clear that the upcoming Star Wars show will completely change the franchise in a number of ways. The Acolyte is set to change the Star Wars timeline by depicting the High Republic era in live action, but will also shift much more fundamental part of the franchise, how the Force is understood. Speaking to Total Film magazine, Headland said that she and the Acolyte are taking a different approach to defining what the balance of the Force looks like. She said, "Honestly, the way I look at it is there's no light without darkness, no good without bad. So to me, and this might just be a personal thing, the Force is about balance. It's not about just a Marvel superpower. The Force sensitives aren't using telekinesis because they're special, powerful people. It's because they've achieved balance," as Yoda says. "My ally is the Force, so the idea of separation from that was really interesting. If you are unbalanced, the Force cannot protect you." In the original and prequel trilogies, George Lucas viewed the dark side of the Force as the cause of imbalance in the Force. Lucas described true balance in the Force in 2010 when he said, "What happens when you go into the dark side is it goes out of balance, and when you get really selfish." Headland's view of the balance in the Force directly contradicts that belief, as her quote mentioned that there is no light without darkness. It's an interesting take on the issue of balance, but it's not exactly novel, as Star Wars has been re-examining that central conflict for years now. Balance in the Force is now much more mastering both dark and light. It can be seen in several different eras of the franchise. One of the main areas it was displayed was the sequel trilogy through Rey Skywalker and Kylo Ren's Force dyad, a connection between light and dark side users that granted them immense strength. Lucas's interpretation of the Force shouldn't have given them special powers for blending those both sides. It would have weakened them by both causing imbalance. Another great example of Disney's new definition of balance comes from Ahsoka in The World Between Worlds. Ahsoka was visited by Anakin's Force ghost. The main difference in Anakin's portrayal there was that he had grown significantly by balancing both sides of his identity. His strength in the light as Anakin, with his strength in the dark as Vader. The idea of balancing both sides of the Force isn't entirely new though, as George Lucas' definition of balance seemed to be evolving just before his departure from the franchise. Lucas was directly involved in Star Wars The Clone Wars when it introduced the Mortis gods, three powerful ancient Force users. The Mortis gods, and particularly the Father, represented a very different view of the Force, one where the light and dark side had to live in harmony, with neither side overtaking the other. The arc making a major shift in Lucas's thinking about the balance in the Force, and it seems now Star Wars is expanding upon it even further. It will be interesting to see what the Acolyte adds to the discussion of the balance and how its light and dark side users can coexist. Makes a lot of sense. George Lucas, a number of changes, has changed his view on how he viewed the Force. Before, he viewed it as there can be only balance with like the light and the dark, whereas if somebody goes to the dark side, there is an imbalance. I think that was mostly his thinking as he was finishing the original trilogy. And then as soon as the prequels came up, then I think he kind of started changing the whole thing with Anakin being the chosen one and the prophesied person who will bring balance to the Force. Whereas through the whole prequel and original trilogies, Anakin is the chosen one. At the beginning, he's in the light side, and then eventual turn to the dark side. He is still the chosen one, and he's still to bring balance to the Force by destroying the Sith once and for all, so we think, which means killing Palpatine himself in a sense, or denouncing the Sith and returning back into the light side. That's kind of why Anakin is able to become a Force ghost at the end. But now, especially with the Clone Wars, there can be no light without the dark, and there can be no dark without the light. So this makes a lot of sense, but the way they're going about it with the Acolyte, But I'm wondering how that's going to go about with the Acolyte. In this part of the timeline, the High Republic, as they're saying, the Jedi are flourishing. This is kind of one of the high points of the Jedi. The Sith right now are in hiding. There's only 2 Sith, a master and an apprentice, and it goes like this for generations, from the teachings of Darth Bane a few thousand years before up until now. And now the Sith are slowly like making their way up to get ready to ramp up and take over the galaxy, as we see Palpatine do later on. So I don't think Lucasfilm is really changing what George Lucas's view of the Force is. It's just really expanding upon the ideas that he already had, that he had changed, because like I said, he's totally changed his view of how the Force works from the original trilogy, the prequels, and especially in the Clone Wars, where he got to do a lot more things with Dave Filoni. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Let me know if you think about the new view of the Force, how there has to be a balance versus with dark and light versus the balance just being light. Or just let me know what you think about George Lucas's view of the Force. Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you guys like this video, please hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell to get notifications for all my latest videos. That would be great. Anyway, guys, take care. See you in the next one. May the Force be with you. Bye.